Good afternoon. We are going to interview Mr. Palacio here on his views on the impact of the family, church, and community on schools. Mr. Palacio, can you kindly introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, my name is Mr. Akin Palacio. I am presently teaching at St. Alphonsus RC School in St. Bite Village, and I have been teaching for approximately 17 to 18 years.
That's good here, sir, which means that you have a wealth of knowledge as to what is happening in our education system. First of all, sir, how does parental involvement affect student achievement?
Well, when we think of parental involvement, we first have to look at the stakeholders in education, and parenting being one of them is an integral part in students' education. Parents, I believe, should check regularly on the students' performance and the children's performance at school, and they should develop a great interest in what the children are doing at schools. They should visit regularly and check with the teacher, develop a one-to-one relationship with the teacher as to how they could assist the teachers from home.
You have some very valid points there. The next question, what can the school do to help children engage in learning activities more productively at home?
Now students and teachers should be more innovative. I believe that it is no longer a chalk and talk thing as it once used to be. At schools, teachers need to find creative ways to excite the children or to motivate the children to want to learn or develop that interest in wanting to learn. The more time we take out as teachers to plan properly will then branch off into how we execute the lesson. And if we execute a very interesting lesson for the students, then we find out that their level of motivation or excitement towards learning will be great.
I do agree with your points, and if that is what we're doing inside the classrooms, then of course we're going to see a lot of improvements.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Knowing we live in a rural community, how does the community affect the children's achievement through the learning process in school and outside of school?
That's a very good question. There's once a saying called that it takes an entire community to raise a child. So academically, the school helps to prepare a child, but community helps to what we call mold the students properly. So a simple thing like going to church, for example, simple thing like being in in groups like scouting and Girl Guides and other youth groups, that helps to develop a child, not only the social skills of a child particularly, of children particularly, and also in the community also helps to, I'm looking for the correct word, what we call properly groom a child.
Yes,
If you notice right now, if we compare a child that grows up in rural St. Bite and in Belize City, you'll find out even in the way they speak gives you an idea of where they come from. You know, simple thing like manners in the rural community, not to take anything from those in the urban development area, in the urban areas, that you find people from the rural communities being more respectful or being more courteous and stuff like that. So we have to involve different groups from the community to enhance education rather than just solely the school.
Very good point, sir. So what are some factors of the community and how it affects the learning of our learners' achievement?
There are norms in the society that we have to take into consideration when it comes to that. In St. Bite particularly, let me focus on St. Bite, which is where I teach and where I live. I noticed that there are not many people. I've noticed that there are not many people, many students who have a place to actually go and read, like a library per se that is open regularly. But I have, and when we develop that culture of reading, we tend to learn more. So the community need to provide like resource places such as a library, such as a computer lab, and so on, so students could not only be familiar with the technology but also use it as a form of learning as time evolves.
Thank you.
I'm going to direct my questions as it relates to the church. As a Catholic school, how does the church contribute to the development of morals of the students here at school?
In a country of Belize, generally, most schools are church-based. So they're actually governed, not really governed, but they're actually managed by different denominations. The Catholic denomination being one of the most dominant throughout the country. However, the Catholic management, let me speak on that specifically. The Catholic management, I believe, need to do more in terms, not only in terms of infrastructure, because that is what they leave with, what they have left us with, only infrastructure. And so, while we have the buildings, we also need resources, and teachers have to actually get into their pockets to make sure that the classroom look conducive to learning. One good thing I could tell you though, that the church has done its part in making sure that the students who come to this institution know that God is the superior being, and that the church teaches us that different principles basically that guides or should guide us as teachers and as students who are engaged in the learning process.
Very good, Mr. Palacio. Okay, question 2. Do you think the parents encourage their children to live by the principles of the Bible?
To some extent, yes, and to some extent, I would differ a little. I say yes because in our community there are still students and children in our community who live by the words coming out of the Bible. However, you might not see them in church regularly, or the population of the students visiting church on a regular basis on Sunday, during Sunday Mass, is not as high as we would want it to be. The Catholic Church I'm speaking about specifically. But there are also parents who were once Catholics and has changed denominations, and you find out that because the teachers, the parents would change their denomination, some students or children actually go to a different church, where they, for some reason, find it much more interesting and find serving God more motivating. You know, at the Catholic Church, for example, I visited the Catholic Church so many different times, and yes, we are praising one God, but the songs at the Catholic Church are like from way back, and we need when comparing it to the other churches, they're like musical instruments that they play. They sing with a joyful noise and stuff like that. Not that Catholic doesn't do it, but like you don't really feel the church. You don't really feel it as I would want to feel it. I believe, you know, that the students, the children, and the parents, I believe that the church, that they're not living 100% by the Bible, but there are people, they know them, that God exists, and they even in our schools, in our praying, for example, when we pray in the morning, we say one prayer every day. You know, after a while, it becomes like the children they say it, but they don't mean it as I think they should. You know.
And while we're at that, maybe you could relate more about maybe your religion class in your religion session in your class. How does it usually go? Do the students contribute? Do you hear more as it relates from their church, or does it get contradicting at times?
In the classroom, we have to adapt to changes too, and we have to respect people's denominational choices. At one point, Catholics used to come to Catholic schools, but now it's a mixture, and so we as teachers have to be mindful that we are not only teaching Catholic students, so we need to be flexible. We are flexible to take a little bit from, for example, from the different denominations. Example, the songs that we sing in our devotions or in our religion class, most of them are not from the Catholic Church per se. They are mostly from the other denominations. And yes, the children are very versed with different parts of the Bible, and they do share when we have discussions and religion class.
Very good, Mr. Palacio.
I must say thank you, Mr. Palacio. You were very eloquent. Your responses were elaborate, and then you brought out some very valid points that we could relate to inside our classroom. Thank you very much, sir. Job well done.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.